Hey, Mike, I know the offense had some success yesterday, but also three and outs. Going to ask you, how important in general is it for an offense to avoid those three and outs in order to give the defense a break, in order even to change field position, even if you're not scoring on a drive?
Yeah, it's critical. Whether it's the start of the game or the start of the second half. That's something we just talked about as a staff. Is we got to do a better job. Um, you know, you want to get off to a fast start in the game, go down and get points, and same thing as you come out in the second half. Change the momentum of the game. You get out there, you get a long drive, get some points. But it's critical to really not just the start of the game or the start of the second half, which we got to do better. But anytime during the game, especially when you're playing against an explosive offense that's so efficient as San Francisco is, that you want to keep them off the field and not have the three and outs. So it's critical that we do a better job with that.
Hey, Mike, I was just questioning, have you talked to Jeff at all since he came home to find what he found at his house, and just how's he doing?
I have not personally talked to him. A number of people have, and we're taking care of that. We're trying to help him as much as we possibly can.
You guys just talk with guys about, since break-ins at athletes' homes have kind of become a thing, unfortunately, over the last year or so. Do you guys discuss just kind of security and safety and that kind of thing?
Yeah, every year, throughout the offseason program, through training camp, there's a number of discussions, certain things you talk to the players about and educate them about, and try to help them any way you possibly can, and let them know there's so many resources out there within the organization that we can help these people with, help the players with, and do whatever we can to help them and their families as much as possible.
Hey, Mike, curious just what you feel like with the running game these last 2 weeks. Did you feel like this team was capable of putting up those kinds of performances in Cleveland and then following up this week? And wanted to know, was there anything you think that sparked that before the Cleveland game and has allowed it to kind of carry on going into this week?
Well, we got to a certain point where we had to change. We had to do something different. And, after the Jacksonville game, we had gone into the game planning, this is what we wanted to do. And, Tony was efficient to a certain point, but we didn't have enough attempts. And that's one thing, depending on how the game's going earlier in the year, that sometimes you get away with it in the second half. And all of a sudden those 2 and 3 yard carries in the first half become bigger plays in the second half. And the type of game we knew we were going into Cleveland to play, take everything into consideration, the weather or anything like that, we had to run the football. And especially with Miles out there rushing the passer, we said, hey, we're going to go in and run the football. We have to establish the run. And you always talk about running the football, but obviously the last 2 weeks, the number of attempts have gone up significantly, and you see the production, and it just changes the identity of your football team and the way you play. And it just helps everything else. It makes the passing game, it helps Cam a ton. Obviously, it slows down the pass rush. And you have to have balance. But I give all the guys credit, the coaching staff putting the plans together, and the players go out and execute it. And, you love the mindset of the players when you run the football the way we have the past 2 weeks. So it's been great, and we got to continue to build off of that moving forward.
Hey, Mike, you've talked a lot about the need to show growth, especially as you get into December. Do you feel like the offense has done that here in the last couple of weeks? And as you've put up more points, gotten a few more yards, a lot of that hasn't come, at least statistically, through Cam. Is there an emphasis in the final 3 weeks to try to unlock him a little bit more than you have?
Well, I think the great thing is the growth you see is the running game, the production in the running game. And that helps. You can't just drop back and try to throw it all the time. So you see the efficiency that we've been playing with, the balance you play with, the complementary football. Jeff gets the turnover in the game, gets the sack fumble type play. Here we go. Next thing you know, you get the ball, and we score a touchdown after that. So that's the complementary part, and that's what you have to do in order to score some more points. And, with regards to Cam, you're trying to get him better every week, and there's something that he's improved on week in and week out. You saw the way he executed the 2-minute drive at the end of the half, getting an opportunity to kick a field goal. Unfortunately, missed it. Some of the plays he made out of the pocket, referring back, we made the big scramble and threw it to Jeff. What an amazing play by those two guys. So yeah, you're always trying to help Cam get better week in, week out, and there's always something you're trying to improve on.
Jim?
Mike, what's it like preparing for the Chiefs knowing you're not going to see Patrick Mahomes?
Well, first off, I'd like to, it's a tough situation for everybody. Thinking of Pat, one of the great competitors in the league, not only what he means to the organization, but what he means to the NFL. The championship games, the Super Bowl, the success, the type of person he is on and off the field. Everything he does, not just for the NFL, but the community. He's a great father. This is the bad part of the business. When you see something like this, if you're participating in a game or you see something on a highlight, after our game, you see certain things. When guys go down, you feel for them. These players, they work so hard. They put so much time and effort into it. And then something like this comes up, you just feel for him. But we wish him all nothing but the best. We know the type of person he is, his work ethic. He'll come back stronger than ever. But it's tough. This is a tough one for everybody involved.
John?
Yeah, Mike, picking up on the Cam theme, it seems like he's had a number of games this year where you can look back and say, okay, did this well, and maybe some thing or things did not go so well. Sort of at this point in the season, how do you think fans should view Cam's year to date?
Well, it's a typical rookie season. I think as a rookie quarterback, there's going to be good and there's going to be bad. And there's the ups and downs. You're learning every week. And like I've always told Cam, mistakes are on me. There's going to be certain things that come up in a game. You put a play in, it's designed for a certain coverage, and you don't see that coverage. And, or it might, because a lot of times you get, 2 reps on certain plays when you put new plays in, different coverages, things like that. And then it's a whole different look. So he's always learning. And I think that's the one thing you see throughout the year, that he's gotten better week in and week out. And there's going to be some mistakes. There's going to be some missed throws. He's going to take a sack at times, things like that. But you're always coaching him. And the one thing that's great about Cam is he wants to be great. He wants to play the perfect game. And you're never going to play a perfect game. But I think you see the growth week in and week out. And there's always going to be some things on a weekly basis at the end of the game. You're going to look back and say, hey, here's some things you got to do better. But he's heading in the right direction. He's got a very bright future, and we're going to win a lot of games with him.
Mike, you said that something had to change when you were alluding earlier to the question on the run game. How much of that did that involve the offensive linemen? Just kind of how they've been playing these last 2 weeks as well.
Well, the offensive line, they want to run it 50 times a game. And that's they want to run the football. There's a mentality, there's a mindset the offensive line has. So I think they've done a great job, especially last week going into Cleveland saying, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we have to play. And I think the entire team has kind of fed off of that.
Mike, I think Gunnar set a franchise rookie record for catches by a tight end in his first year. Can you just kind of speak to his evolution this season and how productive he's been?
Well, I think, I'm very happy for Gunnar, the success he's had, and, give Luke Stocker a ton of credit for the way he's helped him become a pro. And it all started, we always knew the type of receiver he could be in the passing game, but the way he's improved, from the OTAs through training camp, through the season of blocking. And that's the big thing. That was the next step for him. But it's not shocking at all with the success he's had in the passing game. We knew he could do that, but I'm just as impressed in his run blocking, and, give Luke a ton of credit for helping him. I think Gunnar would say the exact same thing. With Luke's experience being a player and a great coach, he's really helped the entire tight end room.
Hey, Mike, 2 things. First, just the opportunity to update on any injury stuff that you carried over from yesterday. And then 2, specifically with Cedric, when you've got a guy who's having 15, 16, 17 tackles a game like he is, do you see that as a good sign for the defense, or is it deficiency that one guy is carrying so much of the load?
Well, it depends on, what type of tackles they are. But I think when you look at Ced, the way he's playing, And if it's the run game, there's certain things that you're playing a certain scheme where he should be making those plays. And, and then in the passing game, you're always going to have a couple of those plays when, they're throwing the ball to the running backs or there's certain check downs or underneath throws that you're going to make those tackles. But set a ton of credit week in and week out. He's been way up there in the tackles, and he's made the most of his opportunity this year playing.
And with the injuries,
Ask the question one more time.
if there are just any updates on all of the injuries from yesterday,
No,
safety,
no
Cedric,
updates.
Van.
We're still some guys are going through all the testing and everything like that. So in the next day or two, we'll have more information for you guys.
Mike, when did you know what you were going to be working with on the O-line? How challenging was that, knowing you had so many different combinations that could be in play, and how you think those guys did?
Yeah, like I told you guys last week, and even in the production meeting Saturday night, we weren't really sure who was going to be playing, just because we wanted to get to Sunday morning, see how guys were feeling. And we worked with a number of different guys. Some guys didn't practice as much as they normally do last week, so it was kind of up in the air. And bringing a practice squad elevation up and just moving guys around. We weren't really sure, and we had to make sure that come Sunday morning, certain guys were feeling a certain way. We put Zeitler through a workout Saturday morning. It was one of those weeks that come up every so often in the NFL that you're just really not sure until you get to Sunday. But give the coaches and the players a ton of credit for the adjustments we made. Obviously, Corey, he's done a little bit of everything for us, and we weren't sure if Zeitler was going to play during the week, so there's a possibility Corey might be playing guard, and then we were getting Cush back in there and seeing how he felt. So there's a number of things, and we were just taking it one day at a time. Through the week, we went through the week of practice and kind of just see what was going to be the best combination with 5 guys, who were the healthiest guys to play, and give those guys all credit for the way they played in the game, and did a great job in the running game. No sacks, things like that. It was an outstanding performance by those guys, just adjusting. And then obviously when Zeit went down, Corey went in, and we just kept rolling. So I'm very pleased with and happy with what they did throughout the game.
Coach, as we try to understand, the massive step up that group has had, have you asked them to do things differently? Have you simplified what they're doing? Is it more just beat the man in front of you the last few weeks?
No, it just goes to the number of attempts per game. Any time, it's tough as an offensive lineman when you only run it, 12, 15, whatever teens it is in a game, you don't get in a rhythm. It's like a passer, same thing. And then all of a sudden you start running at 25, 35, well, whatever the numbers are, it helps because just because you run the ball early in the game, it's a 2 or 3 yard gain, doesn't mean it's a bad play. And all of a sudden, as you start running, as you guys saw the last 2 weeks, even at the end of a half situation or, third down, you start running the ball more. Now all of a sudden you start seeing more explosive runs. And I think it's just a commitment to the run. You've got to do it. It builds confidence in the offensive line. That's the way they want to play. They want the repeat plays when things come up and they work. And just, I think, see the way the backs have run the past couple weeks. They're loving it too. So you get more in a rhythm. And instead of just running it a couple times in a game, you commit to it and you run it, 30-something times. It helps everybody. You good?
TD, go ahead.
I said, can you hear me?
I can now. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm on the plane getting ready to deboard. But I wanted to ask you about Jahai Ward and just how he's kind of come in and been a steady presence, a steady veteran within the locker room.
Yeah, he's the vet you love to have on your team. Just the work ethic, the way he goes out there and practices, the leadership, his production on the field. That's what you love about those older guys. And you kind of joke about their ages at time here and there, but when you get the true pros on there, they help everybody understand the way you go about your business on a daily basis. So I can't thank him enough for what he's done in his leadership, and it's just a great example for younger guys to look at and see this is how you do it.
Jim, last one. Then we got to go.
Mike, I know Femi's body will tell you whether he's ready to can play again this season, but is there value in getting him back just to try to end on a positive note? And what's the kind of risk reward there?
Yeah, I think he's working extremely hard. There's a possibility that he gets that back out there, but we'll just kind of we'll wait to see till Wednesday to see exactly where he's at or whenever that time is. But I think there's definitely benefits for the players to come out, even if it's just through practices and things like that. You get back on the field, you get your confidence back. Coming off an injury like that, so we'll kind of see. We got a couple of those guys that might be able to come back up. We'll just see where they are later in the week.